Okay, guys, so we're going to continue, and I'm going to share my screen right now here. We're going to continue with the ideas that we were talking about last time related to a theoretical framework and let me see here, literature review. Okay, so last time I think we were something like kind of running related to the ideas related to the literature review, and I have found more ideas related to what is literature review and something that we're going to add that is going to literature review. Yeah, no, no, no. Sorry, I'm mistaken. Right. So the issues regarding to the theoretical framework and something else that I told you last time that is going to be added, well, in under my command, that is going to be called the conceptual framework, meaning you're going to define all the concepts in there, right? But the theory regards to the theoretical framework. So by talking about this, what is the one? Ah, this is the one that I'm going to share. Okay. By stating this here, okay. So let's do a review on what we saw related to the previous class, and then let's start with the citation from Kurt Lewin. And he says, there is nothing as practical as a good theory. Meaning that if we're going to use a theory, for example, cultural clashes, the implementation or the way in which oral proficiency is going to be um, taught, right? Or is going to be included. That ding dong sound is because someone just entered or exit, right? Okay, let's continue with this. So the idea is this: it's like is to use our theory in order to validate both the research topic, yes, and the problem, right? So what is going to be so even better the problem and the questions that we have. So if we have, for example, let's say my own case that was oral proficiency or oral production and interaction. So I had to look information about how to develop oral production, oral interaction, which are the advantages of the promoting or fostering oral production and interaction, and to talk about the flaws that could be inside this issue, right? Or this category. So, for example, in terms of virtual learning or I forgot, virtual learning environments, right? I had to look a lot of information about that. I had to clarify that. That is why I'm going to look for my what? For my thesis. Yeah, I always use my thesis for everything. But what is that? This one. So I'm going to use my thesis right here in order to show you um, the way in which we're going to work with this theoretical framework, right? Well, okay. So right here, what I did, if you see, is to take into account two categories. The first one was related to production, comprehension, and and communication related to the oral part, right? So I used some authors, right, from 2010, 2013, 2010, and 2001. And the other one related to pedagogy and virtuality by taking into account Simmons and Downes and Hussein, right? I forgot to put right here something related to Aparisi. He's a genius talking about virtual learning environments. And well, so right here, what I did, the first one was a short definition about what oral production is, a short definition about what oral comprehension is, right? But also right here, I stated, sorry, some elements related to how this theory is going to help me understanding the kind of phenomena right here inside my thesis, right? So right here I have the order comprehension, and then explained how this order comprehension related to the order production was going to be tied, right? It's going to be linked, and how this is going to be a key factor inside the understanding of the statement of the problem inside my project, right? So that's the secret of everything right here, okay? And here. Then I started talking about oral communication, right? And then I had a mistake here. And I had another mistake here. So I never stop ending. And I never stop what? Correcting my thesis. Well, all these corrections are going to be sent to you for you to what? To take that into account. Yeah, because I think I what? I sent a very good correction about this, and no, chat. Okay, don't get it, sorry. Why is the oral production you think you didn't link the definition to your statement? Why in the oral production you didn't link the definition to your statement? Okay, here what I did was to talk about the whole content right here, for example, this part, oral production, right? So as it was stated right here, this is the definition, right? So es un acto individual de la voluntad e inteligencia que ocupa una persona para poder producir una lengua y comunicarse. So that's the definition. How it works for me. So from here, right? So desde la perspectiva como un acto individual se opone a la lengua, que es social, pero están relacionadas entre sí ya que depende una directamente de la otra. De la lengua necesita del habla para poder que ésta se produzca y el habla necesita de la lengua para ser comprensible. That was my interaction, right? The author is here. It was taken from yes, but this part, as you see it over there, it was from Helmut Martinez, right? There was a suggestion that by my first tutor. She's the coordinator. She's the director of the languages school at Universidad de Antioquia. So that's the way in which I quoted here by using a footnote, right? So that's another element that you can use. So right here en lingüística se conoce como el habla de la selección asociativa entre imágenes acústicas y conceptos que tienen acuñados un hablante en su cerebro y el acto voluntario de fonoarticulación. El habla es un acto psicofísico. So over here it was my citation with this. But this was more than a definition. It was just like a kind of interaction that I wanted to have with the author right here. Okay, so you can do it in that way. And as it was accepted, so I think it works, right? But the best part right here is to interact directly with the author, right? So for example, as we see right here, so we have it like, tal y como menciona Segura, 2013, las habilidades del habla y escucha se enseñan de forma separada dentro del aula de clase. Now I remember what I put right here, right? So in this case, better. In this case, what I wanted to do is, now that I remember, in this case, what I wanted to do was to mix the ideas related to the oral production and the oral comprehension, right? By taking into account that they're kind of linked, right? And for the last one, you will have to link the communication aspect with the yes, that was the way in which I was articulating everything. So this is the way that I want you to see or to notice the things right here inside the theoretical framework. So the theoretical framework is going to talk about the theory, but as I was talking about categories, So I need to link them together, right? So they are going to work as one element, right? So the oral part, the communication part related to the oral activities is going to be tied in only one part. So I define over here the oral production, the oral communication, the what? The oral comprehension. Right here I have oral communication, right? So right here I used some ideas from Brown, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, this is from Brown here, okay? And all of this was the definition of the theory useful for me inside my project, okay? So as you see, right here, I think you have this issue in it model, so we can follow the patterns right here. The other one was going to be related to pedagogy and virtuality, and here I had to talked about all the issues related to, for example, the web.1, the web.2, web.3, right? I had to use the father of this terminology, that is O'Reilly, and in order to exemplify everything, right, and contextualize the reader about this part. Okay, so I have these three elements right here, doing com, yeah, comparing all the three aspects, right? Then I had to use more ideas that I created in a chart, right? Talking about what is a virtual environment in a virtual learning environment or a virtual classroom, right? So right here, I use this. So in this part, what you can do is, for example, you can compare and contrast two elements inside one category, okay? So here I started talking about educomunicaciones, that is the use inside of, I told you, Aparici. That is going to be the use of virtual learning and teaching and learning, right? So that was the way in which I worked with uh, my what? My my theoretical framework. Advantages. Okay, yes. So you can talk about advantages and disadvantages that you can face when doing something. Example, can we find advantages on a problem? Uh, well, the advantages, I'm talking about advantages about the theory. So, for example, when you're implementing, let's say, actional approach in order to teach or to um, let someone to know the language or to learn the language, right? So which are going to be the advantages and which could be those possible disadvantages that could be faced inside the context. So by saying this, I'm telling you that you need to take into account two variables. Number one, the theory, right, as it is. And number two, the context in which you're going to implement this theory. Why? Because if you see, for example, Siemens and Downies, they're talking about um, what the Siemens talked about this idea related to connectivism in 2005, where it was supposed to be the creation of the Web 2.0. But guess what? The connectivity was right here in Colombia in 2005. Yes, of course, we all had internet at that time, right? Maybe not at home, but at every point right here on a city. For example, you went to a cyber cafe and you had internet connection over there, right? But they were talking about something like getting that information at home. So we're talking about places like, I don't know, USA, Canada, the northern hemisphere of the planet, in which education. Okay, are you listening to me?
Yes.
I had a problem right here with my what? With my headphones. Okay. So, in the case you don't listen to me, let me know, right? Okay, here, but how do you validate the problem with the theory? Oh, nicely done. Because I set as a problem inside my theory that the connectivity related to internet was going to permit or was going to be a kind of tool for the students to practice their oral production inside uh, the virtual learning environment that here like a model, right? So they could upload the information and they could see what the advantages they have, right? So that was exposed inside the problem, how to use a model in order to solve this situation, right? So in this case, the validation of the problem is going to be here, right? So for example, as I'm talking about here, the education 2.0 and the education 3.0. Well, let's take into account the 2.0 because the 3.0 is kind of difficult to be implemented right here in Colombia, right? So you can use charts in order to show the whole idea, right? But every chart needs to be used cited, right? You need to use the references. And well, so in that way, we're going to validate the problem with the theory, right? Example, auto production, but I have some problems with auto production. I already showed you some issues related to, or some categories or some characteristics related to the auto production and the auto interaction based on Brown 2001. Now that I have the expert, right? I'm saying that yes, there are problems with auto production. And yes, people have researched about that. So done. Now talking about the issues related to teaching a language or teaching something via internet. So we have connectivism, and we have Siemens and Downies talking about that, and we have Hussein talking about that, right? So I have the authors. As I have the authors talking about my research uh, topic, right? Therefore, the validation is there. But in my case, having the difficulties, not to worry. In my case, okay. Okay, not to worry, not to worry. So, how can I say this? Okay, I'll be back to zero. How can I explain difficulties in the theoretical framework? Oh, well, you can talk about the difficulties faced, right? For example, which could be the difficulties faced right here related to oral production regarding to Brown, right? And he was talking about some like here. So which are going to be the difficulties? So the difficulties, you have to turn them into the way the theory explains the whole concept, right? Example. So for example, we're going to talk about some like uh, here, oral communication skills, right? For example, yeah. So which are going to be this? We're going to say that there are going to be difficulties in order production, right? But in order to understand what order production is, so I need to talk about what is going to be conversational discourse, pronunciation teaching, precision and fluency, affective factors, interaction effect, right? Some other issues. And here, now, explicación de las habilidades de comunicación oral, and here, dificultades del habla. I found right here the difficulties, right? So dificultades del habla. So it's going to be clustering, redundancy, reduced forms, um, linguistic variables. What is this? I forgot the name of this in English. Performance, colloquial language, speed, accent, rhythm, and intonation and interaction, right? So but which would be the theory for those difficulties faced? Yeah, of course. Oral production is going to be the big fish right here. Big fish. Well, that is colloquial. The biggest element is going to be oral production. But from, yeah, so yeah, as you say, oral production is the big theory. Yes, oral production indeed is going to be the big theory. But from the theory, there are going to be sub-elements that are going to help us understand all these little aspects that in a group, or yeah, joined in a group, these are going to be considered like problems. But which are the problems? These ones that are explained here. So we will have to talk about the theory of the oral production. Yes, of course. So the oral production learning process and teaching process, if you're going to be focused on teaching. If you're focused on learning, so learning, right? And inside that, you're going to get to know the advantages that I was talking in the previous what? In the previous chart, and the disadvantages that it has when learning. So we have right here all these elements. Where is my marker here? Yeah. All these elements, right? Okay, so sorry, I have to improve my drawing. So the theory of learning production, right? Right. So learning now oral production learning or oral interaction learning, whatever you want to say it. But in the end, it is going to be looked as oral communication skills or oral skills, right? So learning oral production, yeah, definitely. Alex, will be the same for Gina and I. Okay. Would you mind to tell me once again what's your problem? Your research problem, of course, right? Don't take it this personally.
Gender impact.
Gender impact, yes, but
But in this
that is going to be the
case, in
biggest thing.
terms of speaking skill,
Ah, okay, speaking skills. Now, 30 minutes already. Okay, okay, cool. So, let's say this. What am I? Nope. Yeah, okay, let's say this. So, how can I tell it? Got it. Now, speaking skills, but we need to take into account. Well, as I was watching this, general learning. I think it must be, right? I need to look for further information about that. Yes, because it should be information about that, about general learning, right? Remember that so like 30 years ago or 20 years ago or 40 years ago, there were schools that were focused on teaching just male instruction and female instruction, right? So there will be a kind of relationship about that. Now, one of the problems that you're talking about right here is to understand and comprehend the learning issues, differences between men and women, right? Am I right or am I wrong?
It's okay.
Okay, very good. So what is going to be the problem? So understanding that. But how? Okay, so looking information about if there is a difference between learning in terms of male learning at a cognitive way and female learning at a cognitive way too, right? So if there are studies and theories about that, we're validating our problem. Now, let's say that there are going to be some differences between the oral part related to men and women. There have been studies in which they say that men talk less and because I'm not pretty sure. It says something like men tend to talk less because they take their time to analyze. That was something that I read about like 15 years ago, right? So it's kind of outdated, right? And they said that women talk more because while talking, they were comprehending things and they were analyzing things. So right here we have uh, let's say like this. We have two different things, right? I'm using the pinky and the index. So two different things right here that can be compared, right? But we need to look information about that. Now we're talking about that for the next aspect to be validated is going to be if there is a difference between oral skills learning, right, or oral production learning between men and women, and how this is going to be understood at a neurological level, right? So it could be like that. But that's what I think, that's what I have read. Okay. I don't know if that answers your question. If that doesn't answer your question, trust me, I'm going to look for further information for us to have a very good answer, right? That was a question. Don't let me hanging. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to see the other questions. Okay. Here, teacher, related to anxiety and oral production, it is necessary to find theory about that, also the difficulties, and finally talk about the relation. Okay, when talking about anxiety, and one of the very good things about talking about anxiety is that anxiety is already showing a problem. So it is already validated. Therefore, we need to take into account what is going to be the issues that we're going to talk about the research topic. In this case, it's going to be oral skills, oral production related to anxiety, and you have defined that as foreign language anxiety. So that's the theory, and that already validates all that you have said. Smooth, right? So that works in that way, Sandra, right? So of course, you're going to define some other aspects related to oral skills, right? So why have I put or added all the information out there? Well, that's a master degree thesis, so it requires a lot of analysis. But in this case, you can focus about some elements that you want to analyze, right? Not all of them. I analyzed mostly of all of them, but in the end, I realized that I worked with, let's say, there were some like 10 definitions about that, and I used like 5, 6. So that's the way. Okay. Now, Ricardo, does linguistics have theory? Of course. We have been watching about that in our course of linguistics. Yeah, linguistics, it has a lot of theory, really. But based on what you want to analyze. Okay. How to explain it in the theoretical framework? Okay, we're going there, right? We're going to see some steps in order to define it and explain it, okay? Talking about the aspects of linguistics violated at producing orally. Ooh, violated. No, maybe not accomplished. Don't use that, violated. Okay, producing orally, talking about the aspects of linguistics. Ah, okay. So in this case, what we can do is going to be related to the following aspects. Number one, you're going to use the Common European Framework of References in order to what? Yeah, to see which are going to be the patterns that C1 users or C1 students need to accomplish inside that level. Once we have understood what is going to be the characteristics of a C1 user or a C1 level student, from there, we're going to see what is what has been accomplished and what not, right? So that means that you need to read B2 and B1 and A2 and A1, all the levels according to the Common European Framework of References for us to have that idea there, right? So you're going to validate it by using the Common European Framework of References. This goes for everybody, right? Okay. Yes, no, the theories inside the Common European Framework of References, because there is going to be a theory about what to get, what to achieve, what to expect in every what in every level. Okay. Based on that, we're going to focus ourselves on those issues that we want to accomplish or we want to show. Where can be them found? And that's a PDF that can be found at the Common European Framework of References webpage. Yes, PDF only, right? Talk about the requirements. Yeah, but I talk about the requirements. Yes, but the full, the 200 and or 600 pages book, it talks about a lot of things, but they don't tell you, for example, what to do in order to teach the whole thing, right? They tell you what to take into account for the language or for the user to accomplish those levels, right? So accurate fluency. Yes, it talks about that. It shows you about that, but we have to look for the book created in 2001 that is going to that's going to have all the definitions there, right? So you need to look for it and to talk about that. How do I know that? Because I based my ideas on the Common European framework, and also because I have read that book and I know that the information is there. Which pages? Well, not really sure about that. Guys, I'm going to create another link related to this class in Zoom. And now that's it. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing right here and give me 2 minutes for me to give you the other link. Okay. And don't forget the questions.